right, so you got to help me talk about this because this was last month. Yeah, it was already last month.
Yeah.
Early part of January, Salesforce had their annual analyst summit. You weren't able to make it because you were expecting to be on the cruise, and things didn't quite work out like that.
Right.
But so I attended. There's about 35, 40 of us there, and it's the usual gang. I mean, it's a bunch of uh, most of us there are either you're with the big analyst groups like Forrester or Gartner or IDC, you're with or Constellation. I'll put them in there too now. Or you're more independent analyst types like you and me and our buddies like Esteban and Dennis Pomerant, a host of other people like that. But we're all more focused on the actual product and organization and technology trends. We're not focused on the financial analysis aspects of things. So, and the event is hosted by the Market Strategy Group, headed by our buddy John. And so, this is not about financial insights or any kind of numbers or any of that kind of stuff. So, but there was they had a slide that showed kind of, I would say, more goals, not projections or anything backed up by hard numbers, just goals that they have looking out 5, 10, 15 years. I think 2034 is what they looked out to. Yeah, I know it's kind of interesting numbers because that's like 17,
Yeah. 16
years.
years. Well, yeah, 16 years.
Yeah, it's kind of a different kind of thing. But there was some numbers on this slide that they had projected. They called it the Book of Salesforce, and they kind of listed the stage that the company is in chapters. So, like the first chapter, the
Just like
first
Deuteronomy
chapter,
numbers, Joe.
yeah. So the first, like chapter one, I think it was kind of like the 0 to $1 billion chapter or something like that. Then maybe I think chapter two was 1 to 10 billion. So and we all kind of know how they got there because we kind of watched it at that point.
Right.
So then they had chapters like 3, 4, 5, or whatever, and those chapters are the ones that haven't totally been written yet, but they had some goals that they put out there for each of those chapters. I'm not even going to say the numbers because I just don't feel like getting involved in that anymore. But I guess those numbers were the numbers that nobody had really seen outside the company or something like that. And when you're in that environment, unless you see something stamped on the slide that says confidential or NDA or whatever, all of us in there are typically going to tweet about it or
Yeah.
how we're taking pictures.
Normal behavior.
Yeah. So as that slide came up, me, and not just me, a host of people, I guess, were, wow, that's a pretty interesting slide. So you did what comes natural, and you kind of tweet it out. So nothing secretive, nothing
Yeah.
underhanded. There's nothing like they're giving us financial rationale or projections or anything like that. It's just like a goal that I thought was out there. So within 5 minutes time, though, it was just funny. You and I both get these Seeking Alpha notifications,
Yeah.
and so I got this Seeking Alpha notification, and it was like Salesforce new revenue goal for. I was like, wow, how did they get that so quick? Yeah, I didn't see any financial analysts in here. And so I clicked on it, opened up the little write up, and it says, just saw online, a new goal for that Salesforce has. Click here to see it. I'm like, click here. All right. So I clicked on it, and my tweet actually comes up.
You impacted the market in no time.
Yeah, and then not too long after that, like minutes after that, TechCrunch has a post up, and it's focused around my tweet, and I'm like, wow, this thing is it's kind of going crazy here, and I think it kind of spooked some folks, and they asked me to take the tweet down. I was like, sure, no problem. But there are other people apparently that had already tweeted it out. But and at the end of the day, it was, it didn't seem to cause that much.
Right.
At least I didn't think so. But the next morning, I get an email from somebody at Business Insider, and they were asking me about, why did you delete the tweet? Because apparently this tweeted. I told you I got emails from some financial analyst firms, and I was like, I don't know why you guys are contacting me, but
career.
Yeah, but this Business Insider, they were asking why the tweet came down. I said, look, there may have been a little confusion. So what? It seems to be okay now. So the next, after I got off the phone, it couldn't have been that much longer than this Business Insider article came up, and the way they characterized it was that a secret tweet reveals Salesforce new revenue goal or something like that. Completely mischaracterized.
Yeah. Secret slide, right?
Yeah, secret slide. And so, I thought that had all died down because there was nothing secret. Like I said, this was not a financial investor relations kind of thing. This is just a bunch of industry analysts learning more about what Salesforce has in store for the year.
And what it was an aspirational slide.
It was. That was it. It was a goal. It was an aspiration.
That's all.
There was no hard numbers behind it. It was just, here, and this is like 17 years out. I mean, it's
exactly. I was just going to say that.
So, all right. So that was the first week in January. So I thought, oh, okay, we're kind of past all this until last Friday. I got an email from, Business Insider again, and they wanted to know if I wanted to, they're reaching out to a group of analysts, and they wanted to get their take on how Salesforce is going to meet this number, out in the future. And they said, and the key phrase is the number that your secret slide revealed. And I was like, I wrote her back. I said, no, I'm not going to be a part of this. First of all, the way it was characterized and framed, it make it sound like there was some kind of nefarious activity going on, and like I was some kind of covert ops, like I'm 000 or something.
Double O Rams.
Yeah, 0029 for Eric Dickerson.
Eric Dickerson, amen.
And so I just wrote it back and said, look, no, thanks, but no, I just do not agree with the way you're characterizing this. And I just explained the whole thing, and it's kind of, sad that you can't just make maybe there was some kind of a confusion at one point, but that was it. There was nothing, nothing going on there. And this is things that all these vendors do. We all go to these analyst events, and there's a distinction between the financial analysts and the kind of folks that we are. And, we're not there. They have financial analyst events, and they're able to go over all that stuff, and that's fine. And then they have things for us, and our focus is completely different. And just because this slide comes up, and once again, 17-year projection. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's normal on the financial analyst side. I don't know. I don't see that stuff. But to me, it seemed like they were trying to make something out of nothing.
Well, they're pushing something way beyond the pale. Actually, first of all, honestly, there's no anybody who even bothers to answer Business Insider is just fantasizing anyway. I mean, there's no way to project 17 years out on how they're going to hit that number. Oh, well, they're going to actually invent a new device that will revolutionize the world, and thus, in 1 year, will go from, X to X plus X times 12, which will get them to the number. It's a joke. I mean, that's a joke. Okay, look, it's an aspirational slide, and it's one of the reasons Salesforce showed it was not for financial analysts, but for marketing purposes, right? It's basically saying we're ambitious, which they are. And you know what? They hit their goals. They're very good at it. And they've made the point multiple times that they're the fastest company to the 10 billion mark in history, and which, is it's something they can actually verify. And so, but the number, which I'll leave out too, was strictly, it's a marketing slide. That's why they weren't that upset about it either, right? When you put it out, but the only reason they asked you to take it down, I think, was simply because it was creating a stir way beyond what they thought even had anything to do with anything. I mean, and number two is the fact that even after the first round with Business Insider, the Business Insider, one, tries to, turn it into something sleazy, and two, continue pushing it, shows they don't have anything to talk about either. I mean, look, I read Business Insider every now and then, and I'm not a giant fan of it, and never have been. And I'm not, again, it's nothing to do with this particular thing, but I've never found an enormous amount of insight in it. As where I'll read TechCrunch because at least I'll get typically a good story out of it, and even they reported it, but they didn't make a big deal of it. They just reported it. Really, I read the article. It wasn't like, oh my God, nobody was editorializing. These guys are trying to make something big out of this when it's not there. First of all, again, any of our brethren or even financial analysts who are definitely a different breed, who attempt to comment with Business Insider are just inventing stuff in their head, because there's no possible way to project 16 years out. There's literally no possible way. From all our friends and as analysts, even projecting a year out is dangerous sometimes, right? And we're probably wrong as often as we're right. I mean, you'll see, I put up a post this morning, actually, on SAP and Oracle, and, because kind of owed that. And, I'm cautiously optimistic. We can talk about that at another point. But one of the things I talk about how ridiculous forecasts are. I said, hell, I went through some examples. I said, well, the Segway was going to revolutionize transportation, if I remember. Hillary was going to win the election, and the Giants were going to win the division. That didn't happen, right? Right. That's what I'm saying. These are not even a year projections. They're like 20 minutes before things actually happen, right? So projecting 16 years from now on how this is going to go, when we got a world that's as uncertain as it is, and which makes it even worse, right? Anybody who even bothers to answer a stupid article inquiry like that is ridiculous. And I mean, even if they're my friends, please don't, right? So, the thing is that what they were doing, I think, look, it was a slide Salesforce put up there without an NDA. So from a technical and a let's call it just ordinary human behavior standpoint, you did exactly what I would do, what I think anyone in that room would do if they were fast enough to do it, which means probably the only one fast enough to be Ray. He probably did it 10 minutes before you, before the slide was up. Clone number 7 knows how to predict things, right? So, the thing is that it's just ordinary behavior. And again, Salesforce didn't think that much about it. They said, hey, do me a favor, take it down, right? And it was no big deal from there, and they didn't make a big deal of it. The only ones who were making a big deal of it are Business Insider at this point, right? And the way you showed me the characterization, which is, to be perfectly honest, disgusting, right? It was what they characterized it was a secret slide. That's what they called it. And it's, you know what? I'm sorry. It wasn't a secret slide. It was a perfectly public slide that was made public. That's all. And as simple as that. And for these guys to, they may think they're after some. And look, I don't think they think they're after a scurrilous story or anything like that. I'm sure they think it's a legitimate story, and probably can make it into an interesting one. But nobody can possibly answer their questions with any legitimacy at all unless they're massive, sci-fi and fantasy fans and like to speculate that way.
Right.
But
Imagine.
it's a joke. It's a joke. But their characterization was really disgusting.
Yeah. Yeah.